This is the story of a young man with all the cards in the world stacked against him. A bum, a hillbilly, a loser. Mediocrity awaited him, and it seemed there was no escape, yet escape he did. In this video, we're going to dig into the life of Dustin Poirier and figure out exactly what that special sauce was that brought about all this success. Dustin Poirier was born in Lafayette, Louisiana on January 19, 1989. His childhood was less than ideal, with his parents splitting when he was 5, his mother raising him along with his 2 brothers. As a young lad, he was constantly involved in street fights and other hood rat behavior. When he was only 10 years old, he beat up a 15-year-old in his neighborhood so bad that he nearly went to juvenile detention. He got his first tattoo at 14 years old, dropped out of high school before his freshman year, and then in his late teens, the guy was collecting plastic bottles, working at McDonald's, and just barely scraping by. It seemed in every sense that Dustin was doomed to a future in and out of prison. But he clung to the one thing he was good at, which was fighting. Dustin got into boxing when he was 18, and he became obsessed, saying, "I'd found something that really made me fill a void I didn't know I had." He then ditched his loser friends that were holding him back, he quit smoking and drinking, and he booked an MMA fight for just 6 months after he started training. Dustin's girlfriend, Jolie, would drive him 6 hours from Louisiana to Arkansas for his very first MMA fight, which of course Dustin won. This means that she was there with him from the absolute beginning of his career, which is pretty dang heartwarming and also reminiscent of Conor McGregor and his longtime lover, Dee Devlin. Dustin and Jolie were married in 2009, and the same year, Dustin's hard work paid off and he went pro, going on a vicious win streak before making it to popular MMA organization known as the World Extreme Cage Fighting. In the WEC, he lost one, then he won his next. In December of 2010, Christmas would come early for young Dustin when the UFC acquired the WEC, and then boom, just like that, Dustin was on the UFC roster. He decided to drop down from his usual weight of 155 pounds to the 145-pound division, and at the tender age of only 22, he was facing his first opponent in the UFC, winning a tough fight against Josh Grisby. This causes me to stop and think about what I was doing at 22. While Dustin was putting his whole heart and soul into fighting, there I was staying up till 3 a.m. binging Game of Thrones. But hey, I guess we're all on our own journey. And Dustin's journey saw him winning the next 3 fights after that UFC debut against some big names like Pablo Garza and future UFC champ Max Holloway. Dustin's next few bouts after that were alternating losses and wins, losing first to the Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung in a total brawl, then winning his next fight against Jonathan Brookins, followed by another loss to Cub Swanson. He bounced back, winning 3 more fights before taking on the rising superstar, the notorious Conor McGregor. Before Conor battered Dustin in the octagon, he first gave him a verbal battering in the lead up to the fights. Poor Dustin was only 25 at this point and not quite equipped to deal with the mind games that Conor just played so well. Comments were made about the shape of Dustin's head.
It's like a small little green pea. He just has an unusually small head, I believe.
Comments were made about his origins.
He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back arse of nowhere.
These things seemed to take their toll on Dustin because he went into the fight so full of anger and emotion, and unfortunately he was finished inside the first 2 minutes of the very first round. Now, after such a crushing defeat preceded by some very antagonizing trash talk, it would have been easy to falter and perhaps experience a bit of a skid. This is what I absolutely love about Dustin. I don't know if it was his childhood or the way his mom raised him or what, but the guy is just so humble in his approach to defeat. Since the earliest days, every single loss he's had, he's come back stronger, better, he's more mature both in his skill sets and in his mindset. Each of these setbacks just always seem to become a powerful lesson that propel him on to new heights. Now let's take a break from Conor for a sec. We're going to put him on the shelf because here in a moment Dustin will revisit that chapter of his life. Following this devastating defeat, Dustin decided to move back up to 155, where I think he's a lot better personally, just in the sense that he's more durable and he's got a lot more power. His hard work, his continued belief in himself, it all paid off, and he won his next 4 fights, 2 of them earning Performance of the Night bonuses. He tasted defeat once more at the hands of Michael Johnson, getting caught with a beautiful counter, leading to a huge knockout. Again, Dustin didn't let this loss stop him though, and he bounced back with his longest UFC win streak to date, beating some top-level contenders like Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, and Max Holloway for the second time. During this time, Dustin would also show what a class act he is. He started auctioning off his fight kits to raise money for his charity foundation called The Good Fight. They donated to food banks, hospitals, schools, and a lot of other things as well. After beating Max Holloway, his next fight would be probably the toughest of his career. He would be up against the monster, the ape, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, Khabib was the true champion of the 155-pound division, but because of a post-fight brawl after he fought Conor McGregor, he was stripped of the title. Dustin, after defeating Max Holloway for the second time, had earned the interim belt, making this fight with Khabib very important, as they would not only unify the title, but they would also determine who the true king of the 155-pound division was. Despite nearly catching Khabib in a guillotine, he ended up losing the fight with a classic rear naked choke. Both men were humble and respectful towards each other in the moments after, and Khabib even gave Dustin his shirt to auction off for charity, which ended up selling for a nice fat penny. This loss was a particularly tough one for Dustin, as he'd spent 14 long years clawing and fighting for a chance to become the world champion, but Khabib turned out to be just too much. But like he always has in the past, Dustin came back strong and took on one of the toughest guys in the division, the Hangman Dan Hooker. After a 5-round slugfest, Dustin came out on top, putting himself back into the win column. Now let's revisit that beef between Dustin and good old Mystic Mac. After 7 long years of battle, Dustin finally got his chance for a rematch. During that lead up, both men had accomplished amazing things. Conor had become a double champ of 2 divisions. He had ventured into the sport of boxing to fight Floyd Mayweather. Dustin had wins over some of the top names in the game, and he'd won the interim belt. Prior to their rematch, Conor was uncharacteristically kind.
After that loss, many years ago, he rose up, became champion. He's given so much back. I'm honored to share this octagon with this man. I know
they showed one another nothing but respect leading up to the fight, with Dustin even giving Conor a bottle of his famous Louisiana hot sauce. The rematch was electrifying, with both men landing some great shots, but Dustin was just too durable though. In between his toughness and some nasty calf slicers, he was able to open up Conor's defenses and finish him with a violent barrage in the second round. Both men were gracious towards each other afterwards, and with the score between them now 1-1, the only logical next step was of course a trilogy fight. The respect wouldn't last too long, because after the second fight, Conor, who had pledged $500,000 to Dustin's charity, received a tweet from Dustin where Dustin accused him of backing out of his donation. Not only did this awaken his Irish rage, but it erased any goodwill the 2 men had towards one another. The old feisty Conor that all the fans know and love was back in full force, and the trash talk came with him.
You're only a little of a thing, a silly little hillbilly.
This time around though, Dustin seemed rather unfazed in their verbal exchanges.
You used to be a lot better than that, man. The trash talk was a lot better than that.
I'm sure the confidence of knowing he had beat Conor just 6 months prior helped, but more than that, Dustin had matured so much and gained an absolute wealth of experience since the first time they fought. It was clear that Conor's mind games had no effect on him. In fact, I think Conor was the one that was walking away rattled. When the rematch came, Dustin just took it to him. He unleashed vicious ground and pound on Conor, and then right at the end of the first round, Conor stepped on his foot the wrong way, causing his ankle bone to snap and fold in on itself. Dustin was declared the winner by doctor stoppage. Despite a gnarly and disappointing end to the trilogy, there was still nothing but rage and venom between the 2 men.
He was putting his fingers in my glove and pulling me down to throw the up kicks. I was trying to let Herb know that this guy's a dirtbag, man.
He said that he believes that one of the kicks that he checked is what broke your leg.
There was no check. There was not one of them I checked. Your wife is in me DMs, hey baby, hit me back up, we'll chat to you later on. We'll be at the after party, the Win nightclub, baby.
I think it's definitely possible that a 4th fight happens, but it's going to be a long time before we get there. The journey of Dustin Poirier is just absolutely remarkable. It's just brimming with adversity and setbacks. The man literally came from nothing, and everything he has, every ounce of success, he's earned. He was just a young screw-up with a dream, but by grinding day in, day out, being humble, learning from his setbacks, he eventually lit up the world's most exciting stage with huge wins over some of the most famous athletes of all time. Still pinned in full display at the top of his Twitter feed is a quote from the man himself. He's a walking legend and proof that through hard work and perseverance, anyone can achieve the American dream. I'm so inspired by his story, in fact, that after pulling some strings and with a little persistence of my own, well, I got him to agree to a phone call.
I got a family to feed.
Oh, sure, yeah, I'll keep it short. Thank you for doing this call, though. I appreciate it.
Oh, 100%.
Listen, everyone's been asking you about fighting, but I want to know more about the man behind the fighter. What gets you up in the morning, you know?
I love to cook, dude. I love death.
Those are very different things there. Let's zero in on the death thing. I'm interested in that. Are you talking like serial killers?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, so you look up to them. Are we talking like Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy?
I have nothing but respect for guys like that.
And what about Jeffrey Dahmer?
I can't hate on anything he's done. The guy, you know, it's incredible.
Have you ever killed anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Elaborate. When and how did this start?
It kind of started when my daughter was born, but I would say over the last 3 years has been, and I don't know if it's like my mentality towards death or just life in general, just kind of focusing on what matters.
Does your wife know about this?
She's been there since the first one, you know, so it's awesome.
So she's like there with you when you're committing the crime, or?
I don't want to show her somebody's leg get disfigured like that, but she knows what I'm doing for sure, yeah.
Okay, well, you know, it's been great interviewing.
I know I'm dangerous.
Yeah, I think I know that too, so I'm going to let you get going.
I want to be in the history books and have all these accolades.
I get that desire. Well, listen, I've got to go, man, and I'm sure you do too. Are you going to be all right?
There is a chance, you know, somebody could die.
Well, there you have it. Dustin is just full of surprises. In all seriousness, the man is an amazing athlete, an amazing human being. He's a devoted father and husband. He's a pillar in his community. And the coolest thing about him is he never gave up on his dream. He just kept going no matter how hard it got. Please like the video, subscribe, and if you feel so inclined, please share your suggestions for who you think I should make a video about next.